Students, in the today's lecture, we will talk about the MANET. Starting the fresh unit, that is the fourth unit. So, MANET, the full form of MANET is Mobile Ad Hoc Network. So, it is the concept of advanced networking of mobile computing. So, mobile ad hoc network, you can see here there is a word ad hoc. Ad hoc means temporary. So, a network which is ad hoc means temporary. Why it is called temporary? Because it is not planned. The creation of the network is not dependent on some planning or some infrastructure. This network is maintained by anywhere and by anyone in order to access the internet, and it is a temporary point of view and it is not planned. So what is the example in order to understand this ad hoc network? Like in the emergency situation, particular is stuck, particular person is stuck, this is a person. So he or she needs Wi-Fi in order to connect with the call with someone else or some emergency services. So what he and she do, he and she can borrow the internet from its neighborhood node with the use of hotspot, or you can say with the use of Bluetooth. So this person provides internet connectivity to this one. Like the same way, suppose emergency scenario is very big and lot of persons wants to internet access. So in this case, this person will also forward the internet services to this one and also give the internet services to this one person. And this internet connectivity must be in the wireless nature. It is not in the terms of wired. So that's why it is called not planned, because planning of this type of network, like this one is connected to this one is connected to this one entity, it is not planned. It is occurred according to the situation. So the situation is emergency and the nodes wants to access the internet. So he and she can borrow the internet from their neighboring one by enabling the services of hotspot and the Bluetooth. And it is temporary. Why it is temporary? Because the service provider can move or change its location without informing to these nodes. And also the same scenario is applicable to this node also. They can also change their positions, as well as they can connect with the internet, connect with the connectivity with the user node. So that's why it is called temporary. There is no restriction or there is no foundation that he has to serve this node or he and she can borrow the services from this node. So in the really real-time fashion, we use mobile hotspot nowadays. So like my laptop is connected to my phone because of the hotspot connectivity. I have to take the lecture because I need internet access. So that's why I created hotspot and maintain the connectivity with the node 1. Node 1 is my smartphone and node 2 is my laptop. Provide the connectivity and my node 2, that is my laptop, can connect with the internet and access the services. So this is one of the real-time example. Also, there are some more points over the mobile network network. System does not rely on fixed infrastructure. So what is the fixed infrastructure? Fixed infrastructure like the mobile IP, in which when the connectivity is dropped and disconnection occurs, then lot of entities plays a role in order to maintain the connectivity, like the foreign agent or care of address home agent, like this thing. But in this case, that does not rely on the fixed infrastructure. Network like connection with base station or the mobile station. So there is no entity like base station or the mobile station over there. No third entity is involved. Only one-to-one communication is performed over there. So the question is, if there is a lot of drawback, like it is position independent, there is no topology, it is infrastructure free, it is not reliable. So in which application it is useful, basically? So the first example I told you, when there is some emergency type of event occur, then when mobile ad hoc network can play a application oriented role. So in the short term, you can see when there is an instant infrastructure needed. When there is an instant infrastructure needed, like the emergency services, mobile ad hoc network can play the vital role. The another one is called the disaster scenario. In the disaster scenario, like the earthquake, for some duration, like 5 or 15 minutes, our magnetic field of the earth will get disturbed and there is no communication performed over the mobile. And sometimes in the earthquake, most of the mobiles get failed because of the magnetic field disturbance. So in that situation, this mobile ad hoc network can provide you the internet connectivity or the call facility. Also in the remote area. In the remote area, if you want a certain research in the remote area and you want to deploy certain sensors, and the sensors basic task is to sense the thing and the forward the sense thing to the another node. So in the remote area, suppose in the agriculture area, you want to plant some or more sensors, and if you want to sensor the communicate with each other, then you can deploy this type of MANET over there. Then effectiveness. So why it is effective? Because there are so many drawbacks. So what is the meaning of effective there? Actually, it depends upon the scenario. Suppose when there is a lot of number of nodes which want services of internet, then it is not effective. It is provide you lot of drawback. But in case of when there is less nodes, suppose in the remote areas, as I'm talking about in the remote area, in the agriculture point of view, you have to deploy the sensors over this area only, right? And outside this, there is no communication needed. So this type of network, MANET will be effective because it is converted into the infrastructure, from the infrastructure less to the infrastructure. Because we know we have how many number of nodes, how many communication and the data transfer it has to be performed from one node to another node. So that's why that depends on these parameters. We have provide bandwidth to this communication and capacity link to this link between the one sensor to the another sensor. So it is converted into from the infrastructure less to the infrastructure oriented. So in this type of network like the remote area location and the research area, this is very effective. So what are the entities involved? So the entity can be node to node, like smartphone to smartphone, the hotspot works. Also, node to laptop, right? Then laptop to laptop. If you search over the internet, you can see that your laptop can work as a Wi-Fi also. So that's why laptop to laptop connectivity is also possible, and mobile to mobile. So these are the entities involved over there. But it should be the wireless connectivity. So in the wireless connectivity, there is a need of access point. There is a one difference over there, that in the wireless connectivity needs access point in order to transfer the data or in order to perform the communication. However, in MANET, there is no need to there is no need of access point. क्यों access point का जरूरत नहीं है? Actually क्या हो रहा in the wireless connectivity, normal Wi-Fi connection, that this is your node, this is your mobile phone. This mobile phone is connected to some base station. So before the base station, all of the packets will go through a particular default gateway, or you can say as a router also. So one router will be act as a default gateway. And in the location of there is a one access point. But in the case of mobile data network, that is MANET, this type of entity is not involved over there. The communication scenario can be that this mobile is communicated with this mobile, direct connection without access point, without base station, without mobile station. Yes, third party transfer are aligned over there. Like if this mobile is provide connection to this one, then this will be connected to some access point or some base station. But I'm talking about the communication between this one node to this one node. So between these communication in two entities, there is no access point, no base station, and no mobile station. Also, in simple terms and in the logical terms, when sharing of the internet is needed, when sharing of internet connections are required, then MANET comes into account. So what should be the communication range? Communication range. Actually, it depends upon the service that you have rented or you have using in order to perform the communication between the two entities. Suppose if you are using the mobile hotspot by using the Wi-Fi fashion, then the range can be 50 to 100 meters. When you are using Bluetooth, then the range is about 10 to 30 meters. So this is the communication range. And also, this is not needed that only two protocols over there. There are so many protocols nowadays in the managed environment. So different protocols have different range of communication. Like in the Internet of Things, if you want to connect things with the internet and provide some MANET related type of services to there, then there is a lot of protocol like Zigbee, and you can say G.9 and 5.9 protocol is also there. But this is the advanced topic, is not under your syllabus, like Zigbee or G.9 next, so that's why I'm skipping this. Because connections are temporary, as I told by me, these connections are temporary, so there is no regulations and the foundations. This entity can stop performing the providing of services to the nodes, as well as this entity can leave the network at any time. So both the entities like the sender and the receiver has the ability to leave the network at any time because does not depend on any infrastructure. There is no topological restriction. And also, when there is a connection occur, then in the listing of network, हमारे कंप्यूटर्स में भी नेटवर्क की लिस्टिंग होती है और स्मार्टफोन्स में भी होती है अगर आप देखो तो अगर हम प्रीवियस कनेक्शन कर लेते हैं तो उसका कैश जनरेट होता है तो नेक्स्ट टाइम जब हम कनेक्शन करते हैं तो वो ऑलरेडी दिखाता है कि ये वाले से आपको कनेक्शन करना है ये वाले से करना है राइट तो इन दिस केस अगर कोई कैश ऐसा होता है तो both entities have the ability to delete this type of connections at any time or block the connections. So as I told you, in the MANET, there is involvement of internet providing services between the two entities, which is not on the topological dependent type of service. So when there is an internet involved, then always there is a need of IP address. Without IP, internet does not work. So that's why IP is needed, means IP address is needed for internet. And IP based IP internet protocol for the mobile computing is called mobile IP. And mobile IP is a infrastructure based. बहुत सारे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर होते हैं इसमें एंटिटीज इन्वॉल्व होती है So IP is needed for the internet and IP is mobile IP based means infrastructure based. So how the IP is allocated to a particular user in case of mobile IP under the mobile ad hoc network. So that is the biggest challenge over there. And another topic of MANET is there is no centralized administrator mechanism. There is a point to point connection, direct communication between one node to the another node. So there is no centralized entity over there. So one of the example of the MANET can be understood like that, like this one. This is one of the diagram of the MANET. So you can see there is no centralized entity over this network and lot of connections are created by using the node to node communication. Like this one is connected to this one and this one is connected to this one also. So like this way all of the nodes are connected with each other. All the nodes are connected. Not point to point but multi-hop communication then can perform the data transfer. So in this scenario, each sender, each node can act as a sender and receiver. Why it is called both the sender and the receiver? Because if this entity wants to transmit the data to this one entity, so it will act as a sender and this will act as a receiver. Also, in spite of the sender and the receiver responsibility, each node can act as an intermediate node or a forwarder node. So this one is a sender. This one act as an intermediate node also, and this one act as a receiver also. So if some another entity wants to transfer the data to this one, then it will act as a receiver. So each node having three responsibilities: sender, receiver, and intermediate node. Then there are some challenges over there. The challenges are that I told you about the mobile IP. What is the relationship between MANET, or you can say relationship or the challenges between MANET and mobile IP? So mobile IP is a infrastructure based, as I told you. And there are so many entities over there, like having CUA, FA, HA, and so many. Now the question is how MANET can link with mobile IP. Also, you can see from the diagram when there is a multi-hop communication, like suppose this one is the sender and this one is the receiver. This node wants to transmit some data to this receiver. So from this sender to this receiver, there are so many number of paths available in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so many paths. So which path is suitable and which entity is responsible to taking the decision that which path it has to choose in order to transmit the data to the receiver? Means routing of the packets. And in the mobile IP, I told you that each router associated with the IP also one responsibility that is called the forwarding of the packets. So the first one is assignment of the IP address linked with the mobile IP, and the second one is routing of the packets. How the routing of packets will perform. So these are the open challenges that we will see in our next lecture. But for that, we will discuss some more things like the characteristics of MANET. So again, I'm telling the same thing that the first characteristic of MANET is having no fixed infrastructure. बता चुकी हूँ, but it is a characteristic that's why we have to mention over it. Also, the second one is dynamic topology. The topology of the MANET environment is changing very rapidly because there is no rules and the foundation associated with the senders and the receivers node. That's why there is a dynamic topology. So sometimes it will get a start point-to-point topology, sometimes it will star topology, sometimes it will hub topology, whatever it is. Also, MANET is constrained to bandwidth because it is shared by multiple users. So that is the one of the drawback of MANET, that is constrained to bandwidth. So why it is shared by multiple users? From this diagram, you can visualize like this entity, the user node is providing the services to this one entity and this one entity. So the connectivity protocol that is run over his smartphone having some bandwidth, or you can say the data rate. If he and she is sharing its internet access modules with this one and this one, then bandwidth will be divided among this one user and this one user. Or you can say not divided properly. It can be shared with some multiplexing techniques. So already the bandwidth is limited to this user, but in order to provide the internet connection, it has to share the bandwidth between this one and this one. So now bandwidth is getting divided between the three users. That's why the data rate in the MANET is not so much high. But yes, it is say that it can be काम चलाओ type of network. So like in the real time example, I'm connecting my phone to my laptop in order to maintain the internet access with my laptop. So in that scenario, in order to save my bandwidth, I am switching off all of my application in my phone. And when I'm accessing my internet through the laptop, I'm not using my mobile phone in terms of the call, in terms of the any services like the video watching, in order to save the bandwidth. So like this type of precaution you have to take when there is a managed type of environment. Also, managed environment is prone to fading and noise and inference. Why it is fading noise or inference? Because there is a point to point connection. There is no infrastructure in the middle. So this connection is created by the user itself, and the user does not take care about the fading noise or inference. The users take care about only the providing of internet connections only and getting the services. So that's why sometimes there is a lot of fading. So whenever I get uh, connected my laptop with my mobile phone, this lot time happens that my internet connection is slow because of some noise or inference, and sometimes it is getting fast. तो अगर आपको याद हो कि previous lectures में my internet connection is getting dropped and sometimes my battery is getting exhausted also in that case. So that can be understood as a one of the example of the drawback of the MANET. That is, it is very prone to the fading noise and interference. Also, it is very constraint to energy power system. So I can link with this point with the real time example again, because whenever I connecting my laptop with my phone with the use of hotspot, my draining power of battery draining power of my mobile phone is decreasing very rapidly, and each time I have to just put my mobile phone into the charging plug, otherwise its battery getting exhausted very drastically. So that's why the mobile ad hoc networks devices is very prone to the energy power system, very constrained to the energy power system. The reason is mobile hotspot take lot of power consumption. Now, other term is the security. Security is a general term that it will occur in the communication or the networking, and it is an open issue. So security is very bad. Why? Because the link performing or initiating the communication between the two nodes is not secure. How the sender will know that which type of protocol is used by, which type of security protocol is used by its own network or by the receiver network in order to transfer the data in the secure manner. So which encryption protocol is used, or there is a one encryption protocol or not, because encryption protocol takes some overhead in order to process the public key and the private key and the encryption and the decryption process. In the environment, there's a lot of overhead. So once we use the cryptographic algorithm over there, then the speed getting very slow over there, and there's power consumption and the bandwidth consumption major issue. So that's why the security is very bad. And sometimes in the mobile network, there is security in between the two entities. So it is on to the spoofing errors. This is the denial of service attack. Now, what about the routing? So in the mobile app, like the mobile app type of routing is not over there in the MANET. Like in the mobile app, first the packages comes to the home agent, then the home agent will forward to the foreign agent, then from the foreign agent it will be get diverted to the particular node. But in the case of routing, there are so many number of paths, and there is a multiple hop. Routing takes lot of hops, and this type of routing under the mobile network is called multi-hop routing. Multiple hop routing, or you can say multi-hop routing. Both are same. Also, the frequent changes. As I told you, the topology is not fixed in the mobile network. So why the topology is not fixed? Because there is a frequent changes of location as well as connection also. Suppose this entity access the internet from this one entity, but the connection or the internet services provided by this entity is not so much quality of service oriented, like बहुत ही slow internet provide हो रहा है इस entity से. So what he and she can do switch to the another network. Means it can borrow the internet from some another entity for the faster internet connection. So frequent changes of location as well as the connection leads to topology change, and that is based on the power of the signal strength. So this is the diagram that is depicted in the PPT. So I think I should explain over there, because if you open the PPT and then you can see the diagram, then we will discuss that. Ma'am did not discuss it, so that's why. So MANET and the mobile IP. So there is a fixed network, means a network having the infrastructure. Like there is a router over there and the gateways over there, endpoint systems over there. And these are the mobile devices. Mobile devices is nothing but our mobile phones. And what are the mobile routers? Mobile routers is nothing but the access points. Or you can say sometimes the base station, or you can say the home agent or the foreign agent. So in the relation between mobile ad hoc network and the MANET, it is depicted over there. That MANET is belonging to this mobile router and the mobile devices. So as I told you, there is a point-to-point communication, but entity, one of the entity is connected with the access point, or you can say base station. बिकॉज इसको तो इंटरनेट चाहिए ना, तभी तो ये इसको इंटरनेट एक्सेस प्रोवाइड करेगा. So that's why the same example over there. So these are the mobile access points or the coordinates which are connected to some of the mobile devices, and these mobile devices are communicating with each other in the mobile ad hoc fashion. And in the mobile devices and the fixed network, that is the infrastructure, there is a mobile IP exists and the DSCP. So what is the schematic of the mobile network? Like the oversight layer, the same thing happens because we have to follow the oversight layer all the time because this is the reference model. So that's why this is the application layer, transport layer, network layer, and the data link layer. And there is a source, and in the mediator there is a wireless link. And in the mobile ad hoc network there is a one node. This is another node, and this is the destination node. So these type of OSI layer module is work or run on each of the nodes. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि मोबाइल नेटवर्क में डायरेक्ट टू डायरेक्ट कम्युनिकेशन है, सो वहाँ पे OSI लेयर टाइप ऑफ कुछ रन नहीं होती. इस तरह की चीज़ें रन होती हैं इनके ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम में, लाइक दिस. So the data packet comes this one from the network will search for the IP, and from this IP it will go to the destination, and finally it the application because it is a destination node. If it is an intermediate node, then the packet will go towards the network layer and then forwarded. If it is a last node, that is a receiver node, then it has to go towards the application layer in order to access the content. And because this is a sender node, the application layer will provide the data that you have to transfer. So this is all about the introduction of the mobile ad hoc network. So in the next lecture, we will talk about the recent and real-time application of the mobile ad hoc network, as well as some operational features related to this uh, mobile ad hoc network scenario. So for the today's lecture, it is enough. So I think I should.